Good morning, friends. Today I want to draw your attention to a passage that has the power to shift your entire outlook on life, Psalm 121. Let's walk through its timeless truths and discover how starting your day with this psalm can transform not just your mornings but your entire life. Psalm 121 begins with a question that resonates deeply with every human soul. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? It's a question that echoes in the heart of anyone who has ever faced uncertainty, fear, or difficulty. It's not just a poetic inquiry, it's the cry of a person seeking stability in a world that often feels chaotic. And yet, in the very next verse, the psalmist provides a clear and confident answer. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. This declaration is not just a statement of faith, it is a foundation of confidence. Life often throws challenges our way that can feel overwhelming. Whether it's personal struggles, professional pressures, or unexpected crises, there are moments when our strength feels insufficient. In those times, we naturally seek help. But the question is, where do we turn? Many of us look to the hills of our own making, our skills, resources, or relationships. While these can provide temporary relief, they are ultimately limited. Psalm 121 redirects our gaze. The psalmist says, lift your eyes higher. Beyond the hills lies the source of true and unshakable help, the creator of heaven and earth. The fact that our help comes from the Lord, the maker of all things, is profoundly significant. This is not just any helper, this is the one who spoke the universe into existence, who holds the stars in place and commands the seas to stay within their bounds. If the Creator can sustain the heavens and the earth, how much more can He sustain us in our daily challenges? Starting your day with this truth changes everything. It shifts your perspective from focusing on the size of your problem to focusing on the greatness of your helper. Psalm 121 continues with a remarkable assurance. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. This paints a picture of divine vigilance. Unlike humans who grow weary and need rest, God is always awake, always watching, always ready to intervene on our behalf. There is no moment of the day or night when His attention wavers. Think about the comfort in knowing that you are being watched over by a God who never sleeps. When you start your day with this promise, you step into every situation with the confidence that you are not alone. The psalmist further describes the Lord as our keeper, our shade at our right hand. The word keeper suggests someone who guards and protects, someone who takes responsibility for your well-being. The imagery of shade speaks to God's provision of relief and rest. In the heat of life's pressures, God provides a covering that shields us from being overwhelmed. At the right hand, the place of strength and action, God positions Himself as our ever-present help. This means that in every task, every decision, and every challenge, He is right there, offering guidance, strength, and protection. The beauty of Psalm 121 lies in its all-encompassing promise of care. The Lord not only watches over our moments of strength, but also guards us in our vulnerability. He keeps us from harm, not just physically, but spiritually as well. The psalmist declares that God will guard our going out and coming in, not just for today, but forevermore. This is a powerful reassurance that no matter where life takes us, no matter what paths we walk, God's protective presence goes with us. It's not a fleeting promise, but an eternal one, covering every aspect of our lives. Beginning your day with this psalm is more than a ritual, it's an act of alignment. When you declare, my help comes from the Lord, you are aligning your heart, mind, and spirit with the reality of God's sovereignty and care. It is a moment of surrender, a way of saying, I cannot face this day on my own, but I trust in the one who goes before me. This declaration empowers you to face life with courage, because you know that your strength is not dependent on your circumstances, but on the unwavering faithfulness of God. The challenges of life can often leave us feeling weary, anxious, or uncertain. But Psalm 121 reminds us that we have a keeper who watches over us without ceasing. His vigilance is not just a distant act of observation, it is an intimate act of care. He is involved in every detail of our lives, ensuring that our steps are secure and that our purpose is fulfilled. When you start your day by meditating on this truth, it sets the tone for how you navigate your day. You move forward with a sense of peace, knowing that you are held by the one who never fails. This psalm is not just a collection of words, it is a declaration of divine help and protection. It invites us to lift our eyes, to look beyond the challenges of the present moment, and to fix our gaze on the Creator. When you start your day with Psalm 121, you are grounding yourself in the assurance that the same God who created the heavens and the earth is the God who watches over you, guides you, and keeps you. This truth gives you the confidence to face whatever comes your way, knowing that your help comes from the Lord. Psalm 121 carries a profound message about where we place our trust. The psalmist begins by lifting their eyes to the hills, a poetic gesture that invites us to consider the things we often look to for help. In ancient times, hills and mountains often represented places of strength, refuge, or even false worship. They symbolize a natural inclination to seek security in what is visible, tangible, and seemingly dependable. Yet, the psalmist makes it clear that true help does not come from the hills but from a higher source. This is a call to look beyond the natural, beyond what we can see, and fix our eyes on the eternal helper. In today's context, the hills may not be physical mountains, but they manifest in the things we lean on for support: our resources, relationships, careers, or even our own abilities. These things are not inherently bad, they are blessings given to us by God. However, they are finite, and their reliability is limited. When challenges arise that these supports cannot withstand, we often find ourselves feeling frustrated, anxious, or even hopeless. The psalmist reminds us that while these things may offer temporary relief, they are not the ultimate source of help. To experience lasting peace and confidence, we must lift our eyes higher. The act of lifting our eyes signifies a deliberate choice. It is a shift in focus, an intentional redirection of our gaze from the temporal to the eternal. This requires faith, for it is not always easy to look beyond what is immediately visible. When financial struggles arise, it's natural to focus on the numbers in your bank account. When relationships falter, it's easy to dwell on the disappointment. When faced with challenges at work, we often rely on our skills and expertise to push through. But Psalm 121 invites us to do something different. It urges us to lift our eyes beyond the visible, beyond the natural, and trust in the unseen God who is the maker of heaven and earth. This call to look beyond the hills is not an act of denial. It does not mean ignoring the reality of our circumstances or pretending that challenges don't exist. Instead, it is an acknowledgement that while the hills may hold temporary answers, the ultimate solution lies with God. The psalmist knew that the hills, no matter how majestic or sturdy they appear, are still part of creation. They are finite and subject to change. But the Creator, the one who made the hills, is infinite and unchanging. This truth challenges us to anchor our hope in what is eternal rather than what is temporary. When you lift your eyes to God, you are not abandoning responsibility or effort. Rather, you are acknowledging that your strength alone is not enough. This is a humbling realization, but it is also incredibly freeing. It removes the pressure to carry burdens that are too heavy for human shoulders. It reminds us that our help comes from the one who is all-powerful, all-knowing, and ever-present. The same God who created the heavens and the earth is the God who cares deeply about every detail of your life. When you start your day by lifting your eyes to Him, you align yourself with this truth and invite His power into your circumstances. Looking beyond the hills also requires trust. It means trusting that God's help will come in His timing and in His way. Often we want immediate solutions, answers that align with our expectations. But God's ways are higher than ours, and His perspective is eternal. When we lift our eyes to Him, we are choosing to place our confidence in His perfect plan, even when we don't fully understand it. This kind of trust brings peace because it rests on the assurance that God is both willing and able to help us in ways that exceed our imagination. The hills may appear imposing and dependable, but they pale in comparison to the Creator who made them. When you lift your eyes beyond the hills, you are making a statement of faith. You are declaring that your help does not come from your job, your bank account, or your own strength, but from the Lord. This act of faith sets the tone for your day, giving you the courage to face challenges with the knowledge that you are supported by an unshakable foundation. Psalm 121 calls us to lift our eyes and trust in the eternal helper who never fails. Psalm 121 provides one of the most comforting images of God's character, his unfailing protection. The psalmist writes that the Lord is our keeper, the one who watches over us day and night. This assurance paints a picture of a divine guardian whose care is unceasing. Unlike humans who are limited by their need for rest, God does not slumber or sleep. From the rising of the sun to its setting, his watchful eye remains fixed upon us, ensuring that we are never left vulnerable or unprotected. Life is full of uncertainties, and with those uncertainties comes a natural inclination to worry. We worry about the future, our families, our health, and countless other things. Yet Psalm 121 offers a profound reminder: God is always awake, and always attentive to our needs. His protection is not sporadic or conditional, it is constant. This truth should bring great comfort to our hearts because it means that there is never a moment when we are left to fend for ourselves. Even when we sleep, God is still watching over us. He is the ultimate guardian, ensuring that no harm overtakes us outside of his divine plan. The psalmist's description of God's sleepless vigilance is particularly striking. It contrasts sharply with human limitations. No matter how strong, skilled, or vigilant we may be, there are always moments when we cannot keep watch over ourselves or those we love. Parents can't protect their children every second of the day, and even the most disciplined individual cannot stay awake indefinitely. But God, the creator of all things, is not constrained by such limitations. His care is tireless and his attention to us is unwavering. When you start your day with this understanding, it removes the weight of self-reliance and replaces it with a deep sense of security. God's protection is also deeply personal. The psalmist writes, "The Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade at your right hand." This isn't a distant, abstract kind of protection, it is intimate and close. The image of shade at your right hand conveys God's proximity and his active involvement in our lives. The right hand, often associated with strength and action, signifies that God is present in our endeavors, guarding and guiding us as we go about our day. His protection is not just for our physical well-being, but extends to every aspect of our lives, our thoughts, decisions, and even the unseen battles we face. Another remarkable aspect of God's protection is its comprehensiveness. The psalmist declares that the Lord will keep us from all harm and will watch over our life. This does not mean that we will never face difficulties or challenges, but it does mean that nothing can touch us without first passing through God's sovereign will. His protection encompasses not only our external circumstances, but also our internal struggles. He guards our hearts and minds, ensuring that we are equipped to navigate life's trials with his strength and peace. The assurance that God does not sleep also speaks to his faithfulness. He is not like humans who grow tired or distracted. His love for us is so great that he remains vigilant at all times. This truth is especially comforting during seasons of uncertainty or fear. When you feel alone or unsure of what lies ahead, you can rest in the knowledge that God's watchful care is steadfast. He sees what you cannot see, and he protects you in ways you may never fully understand. This is the kind of protection that brings peace to a restless heart and courage to a weary soul. Starting your day with the understanding of God's unfailing protection changes how you approach life. It allows you to step out with confidence, knowing that you are never alone and never unguarded. Even in the face of challenges, you can trust that God is actively working on your behalf, shielding you from harm and guiding you toward his purposes. This doesn't mean that life will always be easy, but it does mean that you are always covered by the one who holds all things in his hands. God's sleepless care is a powerful reminder of his commitment to us. It is an invitation to trust him fully and to find rest in his vigilance. When you meditate on this truth, it transforms your perspective, replacing fear with faith and worry with worship. No matter what the day holds, you can move forward with confidence, secure in the knowledge that the Lord is your keeper and His protection over you will never fail. Psalm 121 offers a promise that goes beyond the physical and temporal. It speaks to a deeper, more profound level of care, the protection of the soul. The psalmist declares that the Lord will preserve us from all harm and will guard our life, a reassurance that extends far beyond the safeguarding of our bodies or possessions. This is about the security of our innermost being, the essence of who we are, and the purpose for which we were created. God, as the keeper of our soul, ensures that nothing can disrupt His plans for our lives or sever us from His love. Life is a journey, and along the way we encounter situations that challenge not just our physical well-being, but also our emotional and spiritual health. Disappointments, betrayals, and losses can leave scars on our souls. At times we may feel as though these experiences have the power to derail us, to pull us away from our purpose or diminish our sense of worth. But Psalm 121 reminds us that God's protection goes far deeper than what is visible. He is actively preserving the integrity of our soul, guarding it against anything that could truly harm it. The psalmist's assurance is rooted in the understanding that God's care is holistic. While He certainly watches over our physical needs, His ultimate concern is the condition of our soul. This is because our soul is eternal. It is the part of us that is most closely connected to God and reflective of His image. When you wake up in the morning and start your day with this truth, it shifts your focus. Instead of being consumed by worries about external challenges, you are reminded that the most vital part of you is under the watchful care of the Creator. God's guardianship of the soul also speaks to His commitment to our purpose and destiny. Each of us has been uniquely designed by Him and called to fulfill a specific role in His divine plan. This purpose is not something that circumstances, failures, or even our own doubts can erase. The Lord, as the keeper of our soul, ensures that our destiny remains intact, even when life feels uncertain. He uses every experience, whether joyful or painful, to shape us and align us with His will. His protection guarantees that no external force can thwart what He has purposed for our lives. The promise that God guards our soul is deeply reassuring in a world that often feels unstable. When trials come, it's easy to feel vulnerable, as though the ground beneath our feet is shifting. Yet Psalm 121 reminds us that our foundation is secure. The one who watches over us is unshakable, and He holds our soul firmly in His hands. This means that no matter what happens around us, the core of who we are, the part of us that belongs to God, is safe. This truth provides an anchor for our faith, giving us the strength to endure life's storms with confidence. Another dimension of God's guardianship is His role as a protector against spiritual harm. The Bible teaches that we are engaged in a spiritual battle, facing forces that seek to undermine our faith and separate us from God. But Psalm 121 assures us that the Lord is actively guarding our soul, shielding us from attacks that could lead us away from Him. This doesn't mean we won't face challenges or temptations, but it does mean that God has given us the grace and strength to overcome them. His protection ensures that our relationship with Him remains unbroken, no matter what comes our way. This divine guardianship also reflects God's deep love for us. He is not a distant overseer, but a close and personal keeper who knows us intimately. He understands our fears, our struggles, and our weaknesses, and He meets us in those places with His unfailing care. The promise that He guards our soul is a testament to His commitment to us, not because of anything we have done to earn it, but because of His unchanging love and faithfulness. Knowing this allows us to rest in His presence, secure in the knowledge that we are cherished and protected. When you begin your day with the awareness that God is the keeper of your soul, it changes how you face the world. It gives you the confidence to walk boldly, knowing that your identity, purpose, and destiny are secure in Him. It reminds you that no circumstance, no failure, and no external force can undo the work that God is doing in your life. This truth provides not only peace but also hope, because it assures you that your life is held in the hands of a God who never fails, never abandons, and never stops caring for your soul. Psalm 121 offers a profound assurance that God's care extends to every part of life's journey. The psalmist declares that the Lord will preserve our going out and our coming in, a promise that speaks to his constant guidance and involvement in our lives. From the moment we step into a new day to the time we return to rest, God is actively directing our steps, ensuring that we remain within the path of His will. This divine guidance is not limited to monumental decisions or critical moments. It encompasses the ordinary and the extraordinary, the seen and the unseen. Life is full of unknowns. We often find ourselves standing at crossroads, uncertain of which path to take. Decisions about careers, relationships, finances, or personal growth can feel overwhelming, and the fear of making the wrong choice can be paralyzing. Yet Psalm 121 reminds us that we are not navigating this journey alone. The Lord, who is infinitely wise and loving, promises to guide us. His preservation of our going out and coming in is an assurance that every step we take is under His watchful eye and divine plan. The phrase going out and coming in captures the entirety of life's movements. It signifies not only the physical act of leaving and returning, but also the transitions and seasons we experience. Whether we are starting a new chapter, facing an unexpected detour, or simply moving through the rhythm of daily life, God is present. He sees the end from the beginning, and His guidance ensures that even when we encounter challenges or uncertainties, we remain within His sovereign care. This promise gives us confidence to move forward, knowing that our steps are directed by the One who knows the way. God's guidance is not only comprehensive but also deeply personal. He doesn't lead us with a one-size-fits-all approach. His direction is tailored to each of us, taking into account our unique personalities, gifts, and callings. This personal guidance reflects His intimate knowledge of us as individuals. He knows our fears, our dreams, and the paths that will lead to our growth and fulfillment in Him. When you start your day by acknowledging His promise to preserve your steps, you align yourself with His wisdom, inviting Him to lead you in ways that are perfect for your journey. The assurance of guidance also reflects God's faithfulness to His promises. He is not a guide who abandons us when the road becomes difficult or confusing. Instead, He remains steadfast, walking with us through every twist and turn. Even when we stray from His path, His grace gently redirects us, ensuring that we are never lost beyond His reach. This faithfulness is a source of immense comfort, especially in moments when the way ahead feels unclear. Knowing that God is actively involved in preserving your journey gives you the courage to step out in faith, trusting that He will provide clarity and direction. One of the most beautiful aspects of God's guidance is that it leads us toward His will. His preservation of our going out and coming in is not about mere safety or convenience. It is about aligning us with His divine purposes. Every step He directs is an opportunity for growth, learning, and fulfillment of His plans for our lives. This doesn't mean the journey will always be easy or free of obstacles, but it does mean that every moment has meaning. Even challenges and setbacks become part of the process that God uses to shape us and draw us closer to Him. The Lord's guidance also brings peace. In a world where uncertainty is often the norm, His promise to preserve our steps allows us to let go of fear and anxiety. When you trust that God is directing your way, you no longer feel the pressure to control every outcome. Instead, you can rest in the knowledge that He is in control, orchestrating everything for your good and His glory. This peace empowers you to face each day with confidence, knowing that even when the path is unclear to you, it is fully known to Him. When you begin your day with the assurance of God's guidance, it transforms how you approach life. You step out not with hesitation but with boldness, knowing that your steps are ordered by the One who holds all things together. This promise gives you the freedom to embrace the journey, to take risks, and to trust that even when the way is unfamiliar, you are being led by a faithful and loving God. Psalm 121 is a reminder that life's journey, with all its uncertainties and unknowns, is never traveled alone. The Lord is your guide, preserving your going out and coming in, and leading you safely into the fulfillment of His will. Psalm 121 is an anthem of reliance on God, offering a foundation for daily dependence and eternal trust. When you start your day by reflecting on this psalm, you set the tone for how you will navigate the challenges, opportunities, and uncertainties ahead. The psalmist's declaration of where their help comes from, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, is a powerful reminder to anchor every aspect of your life in dependence on God. This intentional act of surrender aligns your heart with His power and purpose, providing both the strength to face today and the hope to trust Him for eternity. Daily dependence on God begins with acknowledging that on our own we are limited. Our wisdom, resources, and strength, no matter how great, are finite. Yet, as the psalmist declares, we have access to a helper who is infinite, who created the heavens and the earth, and who holds all things together. This perspective shifts the weight of life's demands from our shoulders to God's. It allows us to start the day not with anxiety or self-reliance, but with the peace of knowing that we are upheld by the one who never fails. Life's daily battles can range from the mundane to the monumental. From managing responsibilities at work or home to facing unexpected crises, each day brings its own challenges. Psalm 121 reminds us that we are not meant to face these battles alone. When we depend on God, we invite His strength into our weakness, His wisdom into our confusion, and His peace into our chaos. This daily dependence is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom, recognizing that the Creator of all things is both willing and able to guide, protect, and sustain us. Beyond the immediate, Psalm 121 also fosters an eternal perspective. While our days are filled with pressing needs and fleeting concerns, the psalm invites us to look beyond the temporal and focus on the eternal. It reminds us that our help comes not from what is seen but from the unseen. Not from the created but from the Creator. This shift in focus allows us to navigate life with a sense of purpose and hope, knowing that our story is part of a much larger, eternal narrative written by God Himself. Starting your day with this eternal perspective transforms how you approach challenges. It reminds you that no difficulty is too great for God and no detail is too small for His attention. It also gives you the resilience to endure trials, knowing that they are temporary and that God is using them to shape you for His eternal purposes. This trust in God's sovereignty and faithfulness enables you to face the uncertainties of life with confidence, rooted in the assurance that He is in control. Daily dependence on God builds a rhythm of trust that carries into eternity. As you learn to rely on Him for today's needs, you cultivate a deeper faith in His promises for the future. Each time you experience His provision, protection, or guidance, your trust in Him grows stronger. This daily practice of dependence becomes the foundation for an enduring faith that sees beyond the present moment to the hope of eternity with Him. When you start your day with Psalm 121, you are not merely reciting words, you are aligning your heart with a posture of surrender and trust. You are declaring that your help, strength, and direction come from the Lord, and you are inviting Him to lead you in every step of your journey. This act of dependence draws you closer to God, deepens your relationship with Him, and equips you to face life with a peace and confidence that only He can provide. Moreover, this daily rhythm of trust has a ripple effect. It influences how you interact with others, approach decisions, and handle challenges. When your life is anchored in dependence on God, you become a source of encouragement and hope to those around you. Your trust in Him becomes a testimony of His faithfulness, pointing others to the same helper who sustains you. Psalm 121 is not just a psalm for the moment, it is a psalm for a lifetime. It teaches us to depend on God daily while keeping our eyes fixed on eternity. By starting your day with this perspective, you build a life that is not swayed by circumstances but firmly rooted in the unchanging character of God. Daily dependence and eternal trust go hand in hand, reminding us that the God who helps us today is the same God who holds our future. As we conclude, Let us remember that each new day is an opportunity to align our hearts with the truth of Psalm 121. It is not just a psalm to recite, it is a declaration of the God we trust, the God who helps, protects, guides, and sustains us in every moment. When we wake, we do not walk alone. The Creator of heaven and earth is our ever-present help, watching over our every step, guiding us with His wisdom and guarding our souls from the inside out. The challenges of life are real, but they are not insurmountable, because we are not depending on our own strength. Our help comes from the One who never slumbers or sleeps, the One who holds our future in His hands. In the midst of life's uncertainties, we have a sure foundation, a solid rock who will never fail us. The eternal perspective that Psalm 121 gives us invites us to live not by sight but by faith, trusting in the unseen God who is with us, before us, and ahead of us. When we begin each day with this truth that our help comes from the Lord, we build a life not rooted in fear but in faith. A life not driven by anxiety but by divine assurance. A life that in every moment leans not on its own understanding but on the wisdom and direction of a God who sees beyond the horizon. So as you rise each morning, let Psalm 121 be the anthem of your soul. Let it be the foundation of your confidence, the source of your peace, and the assurance of your trust. For the God who watches over you is the same God who guides your every step, the same God who will never let you stumble, and the same God whose care for you is eternal. Trust Him, depend on Him, and walk in the confidence that He is always with you, your help, your protector, and your guide.